Welcome. I'm Vanessa von Holt, responsible for marketing at the Institute of Packaging, and it's really our pleasure to welcome you all this afternoon to our webinar discussing and unpacking the Institute's education portfolio and education offerings. Just a few points of housekeeping from my point of view while everybody's busy logging in. Firstly, the session is being recorded and a recording will be made available to you after the session. It will be uploaded onto the Institute's website and also onto our YouTube channel, so you can go back and have a look at it there. If you have any questions, please pop them into the Q&A box. You'll see on the bottom of your screen a little menu to open up Q&A. We'll be watching these as they come through, and we'll have a little bit of Q&A time at the end to address these questions for you. And without taking any more time, I'm going to now hand over to our National Chairman of Education, Kishan Singh. Thanks, Kishan, over to you.
Thank you, Vanessa, for that opening and for those opening remarks and introductions. Great stuff. I see there are 32 people here, but I'm assuming, Vanessa, you had how many respondents, RSVPs?
We had over 100, so I'm sure they'll feed through as the...
Yeah. But no, that's fine. But I don't think we'll wait because we have 32 people here. So let's kick into it. So a very, very good afternoon to all of you. And I really am very grateful that you have taken the time to be here. Earlier on in the year, when we were just chatting at a national executive meeting at IPSA, we felt that it would be prudent to showcase the educational bouquet of offerings from IPSA to the industry, not only to the industry in South Africa, but recently I've noticed that we are having a very strong global interest, and that's simply because we've gone online on all of our trainings. Well, some of our trainings is still physical, but by and large we're online, so we're having a very strong global attraction. So the purpose, therefore, today is really to create an awareness of IPSA's packaging educational opportunities. And together with me, thanks, Vanessa, for administering, but I have Dr. Lance Levin here with me, and of course, our own John Byatt. I think most of you would know John, but we will get to them when they come on. I'll introduce them quickly. But yeah, so let's kick straight into it. I see the audience is growing, Vanessa. So the agenda for today is to quickly introduce IPSA and then WPO, and then we have real pleasure in announcing the fact that we are already embarking on the road towards what was known as the CETA accreditation, now a QCTO, and Lance will talk more about that very, very soon. Then I'll go through the bouquet of offerings, where John will open with the OPT, because he's really the driver of the OPT. And then I'll handle the rest of the training programs, and I'll end up with the Institute of Packaging's Handbook of Packaging Technology. And at that point, I'm hoping we'll be done in 45 minutes, and we'll open the discussion for a question and answer session. So that's essentially the mode that we're going to be using today. So now, the Institute of Packaging South Africa, for those of you not really aware of this, is 54 years old. It was born in 1970. And predominantly the objectives of the Institute of Packaging South Africa is to be it is to provide a network to packaging enthusiasts, packaging professionals in the country, so that there is a network of knowledge sharing, and also it's to provide academic training programs, which is the purpose of the session this afternoon. But there's a hell of a lot more that IPSA does. I mean, if you take the Goldpack product and the student Goldpack product, these are our products to the industry where we recognize the best packaging nationally, the best packaging in terms of innovation, in terms of sustainability, in terms of supply chain efficiency, in terms of carbon footprint reduction, and I can go on. But essentially, that is the crux of the Institute of Packaging South Africa. Non-profit, non-governmental, non-religious, non-everything. It's absolutely neutral. The Institute of Packaging South Africa, for more than 20 years, probably 25 years, have been related to the World Packaging Organization. So we are a member of the WPO. The WPO has over 67 member countries in the world. And again, WPO was born in 1968 in Tokyo, so that will make it 56 years old. So both the organizations are not just around the Ben flavor of the month, flavor of the year. They've been around for quite a while. Again, the modus operandi of WPO is exactly the same as IPSA. Non-profit, non-government, non-legislation, it's very completely neutral. Again, it is linking 67 countries. Networking and education is the key foundation of WPO. So I think, I mean, we can go on about this, but if anybody needs more information, most welcome to contact Vanessa or myself, and then we can chat more about these organizations. So the next section is going to be led by Dr. Lance Levin. Lance, it's up to you. Lance, just out of introduction, Lance is our consultant who is guiding us and taking us on the path of accreditation of our academic training programs. So you enjoy the NQF rating and the skills levy. Lance, your call.
Thank you very much, Kishan. I'm Dr. Lance Levin, and I am a specialist in education with a PhD, as well as being a consultant in specifically QCTO and in converting institutions, especially institutes, to make them professionally accredited and link them to the various regulatory bodies. And I'm very happy to be involved now with the Institute of Packaging, and I've seen the courses that are being offered are fantastic courses. And what I'm going to be talking about now really is, what is QCTO? What is this unbelievable new member of the regulatory bodies now taking over from CETAs? And what is the pathway that the IPSA is going to be taking to achieve the QCTO accreditation? And I think just to get started, there are many benefits to QCTO. A lot of people don't really understand it very well, but the most important benefits really for being QCTO accredited are, number one, that it's prestigious and you've got credibility. There's also good market reach and appeal, because people know that if it is QCTO accredited, of course, it has the stamp of approval from QCTO and the other bodies. There's also increased opportunities for students, because very often, if there are governmental opportunities or even global opportunities, the fact that it's QCTO accredited means that there are areas that are work-related, there are areas that are practical, that are, in fact, huge changes have happened to the structure of the way courses should be, including the technology has been included into the accreditations, where it wasn't before with CETAs. Now there's actually a requirement for QCTO accredited institutes and companies to have not only a proper student information system, and but also to have amazing access to reporting, to online education. And it also gives, obviously, this competitive edge as well. So we know, therefore, that there are access now, then we are looking for IPSA getting access to the various funding. We're now going to look at the credibility and trust, okay, and the benefits to the stakeholders. Let's look at the stakeholders. There are three main stakeholders. Of course, the students that are doing these courses. There are the educators like John Byatt and Kishan that are offering very, very high-level, specialized, industry targeted education from their experience. And also they are offering the benefit for the stakeholders. Industry partners means that through QCTO accreditation, the world the WPO would also be very important in being part of this process, so that of course whatever the packaging requirements are required globally, whatever the technologies are happening, and best practices, this will be integrated into the courses themselves through the industry partners. Now, let's talk about industry needs and standards. What's been very important now is that most education in Education 3.0 and within the fourth industrial revolution are requiring that industry become very involved in the actual development and the assessments that are being done. And that's very important, of course, to institutes, to professional institutes like IPSA. And therefore, what we are going to be doing then as well through this process is to allow the courses to become more accessible, more interactive, more industry related. And in fact, what it's doing is creating a course that has got a far higher quality and structure. Now, what are our future milestones? The first one is we want to develop the various long-term programs, the certificates, and the various diplomas. Now, depending on looking at a 3-year, 2-year, 1-year, or 3-month qualification, whatever is chosen as the type of program will also determine the type of institutions that would have to then be aligned with. So, for example, if it is a higher education program on an NQF 7 or 8 level, then it might require you to go through the high Department of Education and Training or through the CHE. CETAs obviously are still involved. A lot of people think that CETAs have been dissolved instead of QCTO, but they are still involved as far as financial type of things. So they do give a grant still. They do help with the workplace systems in terms of other grants, but they do not get involved in the assessments and the certification, only in the financial. The other thing, of course, is that we expect to create experts, faculty of various. We've got obviously some very high-level experts already, but obviously what we're hoping to do in future is to enhance that, to enhance the curriculum, to add other areas that are required, what industry are looking for. The other thing, of course, that we are looking forward to doing is investing in an online learning process and platform, so that the facilities for offering of these courses will be far better and a higher quality, and I think will be very helpful to learners. Okay, if you can just go forward to the next slide. All right. Now, let's just go through then to the vision. I think really what's important is that for education, and everyone knows education is the most important it's the most important weapon for change, as Mandela put it. And what we are trying to do in terms of IPSA is to become the leading training institution for the packaging industry globally as well. And we already, as far as I've heard from Kishan and others, people are very happy with these standards that have been set already. And in terms of what we're going to be doing then, in terms of the guidelines that are going to be given for this, is the gap analysis has already started, so that we can determine what is required. We've also started to align curriculums with what is available on the database already. And then we're going to be looking at what isn't there and what might need to be developed further down the line. We also are developing a better quality management system, or some people call it the student information system for students, and also becoming a quality partner, so that IPSA can become the go-to institute or the go-to industrial partner for various packaging companies. And of course, becoming an assessment center will allow IPSA to dictate to the markets what type of assessments would be the best in the industry. And who better to do that than having a system where most of the people in the industry are not only working in there, but also offering facilitation and consulting. And then finally, and to conclude, I'm looking very forward to working with IPSA and in this QCTO path, making the programs credible, making them accredited, and really meeting the needs of not only the industry, but students and people wanting to get into the industry. So I thank you very much. If there are any other questions, if you'd like to get information about how it's done or about how the development is working, please, I'm sure you can get Kish and IPSA to allow me to get hold of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Lance. I think that was a great overview of where we are, how we started, and what the path looks like ahead, and the time frame as well. So yeah, as Lance says, if there's any questions on that, please feel free to call Vanessa, myself, or John, or you can call Lance directly there. I'm gonna go. So the next part of this session this afternoon is going to go over the actual detail, the courses that we offer. Now, we fondly call the OPT, it's Overview of Packaging Technology. Then we're going to go over the OID, which is really the 1-year diploma, OID. And then the APD, which is the Advanced Packaging Diploma. And we'll conclude with the CPP, Certified Packaging Professional. But we'll also talk about the other offerings that we offer the industry, which is bespoke training. So if you, as a client, you want to talk about, let's say, barcodes, 2D or 3D barcodes, and you want to know, you want maybe a 1-day workshop or a 3-day workshop, or you want to talk about print and graphics design and print processes and things, we would then, John or myself could then sit with you and devise a bespoke training program and then execute it, either online or on site, depending on what you want. That we would then package that and quote you on that, and then we've been doing that quite a lot over the years, and it's working very well. The topics that we will give you there is anything and everything to do with packaging technology, including graphics, design, printing, and barcoding, and brand management and supply chain. With supply chain, typically we do this training for universities. And so to tailor it for the industry now is not going to be a problem at all. Then quality management. Quality in the packaging industry is perhaps more spoken about and less really realized. And in my view, there's quite a gap with the typical packaging quality manager. And we then, explain exactly what is required in a packaging industry. So quality, and especially the details with ISO 9001 2015 is unpacked. Of course, we then move towards Lean Six Sigma. We can offer complete Lean Six Sigma, yellow belt, white belt, green belt, black belt training. Again, online or on site if it's needed. If you feel that you need that, feel free to contact us, and we will be able to put this together for you. Of course, those exams, Lean Six Sigma exams, will be written by Lean Six Sigma schools across the world. Of course, sustainable development is a big issue now. Section 18 of NIMWA is in, and we talk through EPR systems and things as well. So that's another topic that lots of people are interested in. And then we'll talk about a handbook of packaging technology before we close. So John, I'm going to ask you to just go through this. By the way, before John kicks in, I'm just going to click on this link here, which takes us into the IPSA website, and particularly this area, which is the overview. This is the OPT, which John is going to be talking about. We call it the OPT, Overview of Packaging Technology. This brochure is there online. I've just clicked on the link, and it's on, and you can do this as well. By the way, Vanessa will give you a copy of this presentation, and the link should be alive there, Vanessa, so they should be able to click on it. So here's all the detail here for you to read later. But for now, who better than John to take you through the detail, John?
Thanks, Kishan. Let's have a look at overview of packaging technology. And this course has been running for about 4 or 5 years, very successfully, devised because we saw a need as Institute for a very basic level course for those in the industry. By packaging, I mean a huge number of people are encompassed in general packaging use, not just manufacturers, but users out there. So this is a starter level for the suite of packaging that is offered by IPSO, packaging courses. And we major in this one on materials and processes. Next one. And you'll see some pictures through this short presentation. Those are our class pictures with typical students struggling to learn. Thanks, Kishan. So our OPT comes at the base level of the courses offered by the Institute. And you'll be hearing about the others as we go through the rest of the presentation today. Thanks. So our target market, if you're looking for a course which is going to get you started in something to do with packaging, then perhaps you need to be looking at this one. It doesn't major on anything too academic, actually does major on the practical side of packaging. Next. Next one. So our students are typically those as school leavers, yes, as simple as that, looking for a way into the packaging industry, as well as those already employed, but not directly on the packaging lines. So up on screen are some examples of our typical students. So there may be supervisors, operators, quality controllers, but we do get many students who are in the service industries, graphics students, those involved with packaging development in retailers, packaging buyers, estimators. So if you're looking for something which is going to aid you in a selection of a beginner's course, maybe this is the one for you. Next one. Next one. So eligibility. You need to be able to speak and understand English. So we're counting on that. Next one. And in terms of how long it runs for, about 8 weeks. It's roughly, it's not an exact timing because we do get extra discussions or extra material that needs to be added on from time to time. But it's 2 sessions per week, and you'll be asked to attend classes for 2 hours at a time. So it's 4 hours per week. At the moment, we meet on a Wednesday afternoon and a Friday afternoon. The cost is up on screen. That's for next year. Our next course is going to be running in September this year. So if you get in early, you can get the 2024 prices. Next one.
John, if I may just come in here, thanks, John. We run this course 3, sometimes 4 times a year. So as John says, there is one more that's planned to start in September. So which means we've already run 2. Have we run 2 or 3 this year, John?
We have run 2. So up on screen, you'll see pictures of our students who are now analyzing packaging on screen during our class sessions. Next one. So the content. Here is a very quick overview of what we offer. 12 modules altogether, majoring on the packaging materials, which are the modules 5 through to 11. But prior to that, modules 1 to 4 give a very much overview of certain key elements in packaging education. And included in that are packaging principles, sustainability of packaging, the sales appeal of packaging, and distribution packaging and its protective nature. So those first four modules are designed to get you up and running and understanding some of the basics of what packaging is about. Then we launch into those materials 5 to 11. Our final module is on printing, very much a quick overview into the principles of printing. Thanks. So I teach this course on the basis of some experience in running seminars, webinars around Africa as short courses to entrepreneurs who want to know about packaging. And that informed our content and how it is presented. It is a practical course where I actually utilize each of these instruments which you see on screen. So those of you who got some familiarity with packaging laboratories, you're seeing, as you know, some key items that any packaging technician would need to know about. Now, I'm not teaching the skills and the use of these, simply the implications, because the end result is that our students should be able to be knowledgeable enough to put together a specification for a packaging material, such as a high-density polyethylene box or bottle, a crate, or a flexible pouch of polypropylene. That's the aim. The students should be able to specify knowledgeably, understand the techniques, as well as how to put all these items together in a specification. Thank you. So students are encouraged to bring along sample materials as shown on screen. So we can't provide them to the students scattered around Africa, but they are encouraged session by session to bring in the box or the cap or the label, which we then discuss live on Zoom. That's the only way we can offer this course, and it is so much of our time is involved with taking apart materials. So tearing a box, for example, and looking at the way in which corrugated materials are assembled. Taking a paperboard carton and having a look at how those are made on screen. And next one. So you can see my screen on the left-hand side with sample materials, which we were discussing, that particular one, a number of different materials. And each student is then going to be looking at their sample together with the rest of the class and discussing the label, the material, the cap, how it's packed, how it's distributed. There are various action points through the presentation where the student is encouraged to take part in this way. Next one.
Hey, John, I'm getting a bit worried here. This guy on the right, is that a sample, or is he having a beer during your lesson?
No, it was empty. Now, students are allowed to bring along full samples, but they can sample it afterwards. Okay.
Oh, I see.
Okay.
Now I understand why people come to your training.
Yeah, I endeavor to make it as much fun as possible. Learning is really interesting when it's fun as well. So the course does come with an evaluation. The good news is that there's no final exam. It is a continuous assessment during the course. So there are learning checks after each of our 12 modules. In other words, homework, if you want to put it in the traditional language, and students need to submit that during the week prior to the next session. So you can count on not only 4 hours a week in terms of class attendance, but also putting in extra time to do the homework. Next one. Finally, after our course is completed, we then give a IPSA certificate. This is a typical one which we allocate when you reach a pass mark of 70%. Remember, this is continuous assessment. 70% is what you, as well as your certificate, is what you'll get once you've successfully completed the course. And I think that's about it from me. Thank you, Kishan.
Thanks, John.
And that took 10 minutes.
Oh yeah, between you and Lance, you'll eat up all my time. Now look, I've got 15 minutes to do another 4 programs. Let's see if I can kick it quickly. So guys, this here is again right into the website of the Institute of Packaging South Africa. Here, I'm going to be talking about the OYD, which is the 1-year diploma, OYD, but it's all here. Everything is here for you to read at your leisure online. If you don't know the website details, just ask one of us, ask Vanessa, and you'll get it. So let's kick into it. So the 1-year diploma, OYD, the entrance prerequisite is metric. You got to have a metric, unlike the course that John spoke about, which is more touch, feel, and see. Here, this is straight into an academic environment. So we've got to have a metric. Plus, I'm saying at least 3 years of industry experience. I've had in the past school leaders that have come in, and honestly, a few months into the year, I could see the person's completely at a loss. You will never, ever be able to make it in the deep end of the 1-year diploma unless you have at least some kind of packaging language and vocabulary. So the course duration is almost 11 months. That's why we call it a 1-year diploma. It's 4 hours of contact time per week. That's 2 hours on a Tuesday and 2 hours on a Thursday in the evenings, 5:30 to 7:30. Course content, 8 academic modules. We go into quite a lot of detail in business aspects of packaging, where we cover things like business management, management principles, motivation, human motivation. We talk about aspects of supply chain, economies of scale, packaging planning, handling, packaging materials, paper, board, metal, glass, plastic. Each one is unpacked in great detail, that we end up the half of the, by the way, I'm only halfway through the year, and we end up with what is known as closures. At that point, we break, and then when we come back, the second half of the year starts with graphics and branding, print processes. That's John, please kick in whenever you want to. Litho, Flexo, rotogravure, silk screen, inkjet, digital printing in detail. Then we get into barcodes. We talk about the criticality of barcodes, EAN 13 barcodes, IATF, ITF barcodes.
14.
And then we talk about orientation, truncation, anything and everything you need to know about barcodes is covered in this 1-year diploma. Then we move into food packaging, and we talk about all the possible deterioration of foods and how and why packaging can solve these problems. We go into nanotechnology. This has been a recent introduction into the textbook. Remember, the textbook is live, and every year we kind of keep it updated. We'll talk about that later. And we close the year with pharmaceutical, cosmetics, and industrial packaging. So let's just talk about this. Class size is typically 130 to 160 students. The online execution modes online via Zoom. John, you want to just talk about the assessment model for the OYD?
Yes, thanks. We have a fairly rigorous assessment structure for the OYD. As on screen, you'll see that there are Moodle tests. Let me just interpret that quickly. We use a online learning management program called Moodle, which is available to any academic out there free of charge. We put onto that site not only course materials for download, but also we employ it for multiple choice questions. Some of those are used in our assessments. Secondly, we use research-based assignments, which is an open book assessment given to the students to take, students are given 10 to 14 days to complete these research-based assignments on their own and submit them to IPSA for the usual marking. Thirdly, in terms of our assessments, there is a practical assignment where each student is given a project, a packaging-based project to research over a period of 4 to 5 months. And then submit a written report on their findings regarding the packaging, as well as a mock-up stroke sample. Now, this third part of our assessment is a very important part of any packaging education strategy. We need to know that whatever the theory that we've covered in the course, and you've just seen the content, is actually sinking in far enough so you can use these things and put together a packaging recommendation based on a development program that you've devised. And packaging is very much a practical, hands-on topic. We daren't make it too theoretical, otherwise we'll lose the thread. So practical application is what we're about in our assessment on this course. Thanks, Kishan.
Thanks, John. The training is also accompanied by technical factory tours. Typically, we should do this on physically, but of recent, we've mastered the art of getting cameras and getting to see and experience print processes or die cutting processes or folding, gluing processes. So this is very possible. But however, having said that, Lara does at some times, depending on availability of plants, offer physical visits as well to students. Of course, this then would be geographically depending on where they are. Just on that research-based assignment that John spoke about, I want to emphasize that historically, these courses used to be offered as sit-down classroom style, which John and I used to do for, I think, 25 years, until we got hit with COVID. And immediately between John, myself, and a few others, we converted these training programs to online. And we've never looked back. But why I'm saying this is because the RBAs, the research-based assignments, is not what we used to offer, what we used to give the students in a sit-down classroom style exam. Here, we have intentionally created questions that require the student not to regurgitate the textbook, but to bring out knowledge and innovation from what is available in the internet and through academic journals. So this is how and also we do not dish out our marks very easily to students. In order to get 70 to 80% in an RBA requires a hell of a lot of effort. So I'll just share that with you guys. Then 2025 costs of the course is 21,340, excluding VAT, but this includes the PDF textbook, the Moodle access, and also it includes a membership fee to students for, I think, the 1 year, the 1 year of the course and the 1 year after the course. John, that also holds true for your OPT, right? Right.
Yes.
Yes, okay. Then let's go into the Advanced Packaging Diploma, which is the APD. Now here, the entrance or prerequisite is the OID. So typically, you can't get into APD unless, because they're kind of progressive training. So we say OID, but we also say that if you did not do the OID, but you do have a tertiary qualification in packaging or related discipline, then we would consider that typically I would interview the student and make sure that the student is not being set up for failure. And that's really the only reason we do that. The other way you can get into the advanced APD is at least 7 to 10 years of industry experience in a packaging or related environment. Now, how does this work? It's 8 months. So it's not quite a year. And it's 4 hours contact time per week. And that's now... All right. So we draw experts from the industry. And here are some of the guys, as you can see. You may know some, you may not know some. But trust me, each one is handpicked to do the lecturing. There's 15 academic modules in the APD. It's Introduction to Business Management and Supply Chain. Again, supply chain is far more in depth than we do cover in the OID. It's far more in depth here. Then branding and marketing, financial management. I think it's very important that as packaging. You see, the target market here is really packaging managers and senior management. So therefore, a thorough understanding of business is absolutely necessary, including impact on the balance sheet. So here, Shan takes the guys through quite an in-depth study. He keeps bitching and moaning with me, saying to me that 4 hours is not enough. But it's not a financial training program. It's ultimately a packaging program. Operations management couples with supply chain in a lot of detail. And then HR. Then we go into packaging materials and processes, so paper, board, metal, glass, and plastic, but to a greater depth than we cover in OID. Therefore, we bring in the experts from each one of those packaging technologies to speak here. Then graphics and branding, very important, and packaging legal aspects. So there's quite a lot of emphasis on legislation here, which then leads to sustainability. As you all know, I'm sure everybody in this room knows about Section 18 and NIMWA. And then there's a strong emphasis in quality management systems. I alluded to the fact earlier that there is a gap, and we need to bridge this gap. And this is true, and I can tell you this from global experience with WPO. Most of you would know that I do a lot of work with WPO. I can tell you that this is a fact not only in South Africa, but all over the world. There's a very big gap between real quality understanding, how to interpret quality on the packaging manufacturing floor. We all say, yeah, packaging means delight the customer, give the customer what he wants. But very few people can actually transform that into specifications and specification management through measuring sigma values, which is measuring process variation and actually teaching business process reengineering. So this is what is taught here. These are the skills that are taught, the tools that are given to these students at this part of the training. And then you cannot go through a program like this without business certification schemes. So students are explained 9,000, 14,000, 45,000, the integrated business model between 9, 14, and 45. Then we talk about BRC, we talk about FSSC 22,000. And we also talk about other systems that are not that popular. For instance, ISO 31,000, which is risk management, ISO 27,000, ISO 50,000, which is energy management. All of that is taught in quite a lot of depth here under certification schemes. Nanotechnology is another dedicated sub-module here. And you can't teach packaging without the latest tricks with nanotechnology and how packaging innovation is really, really being transformed by nano engineering. And then we then teach a student about how to train. How do you get onto the boardroom and present to a board of directors, motivate and technically justify your packaging solution to a packaging problem, which is, by the way, one of the prerequisites here as well. So this, and by looking at this, you can see it's literally an MBA. That's what it is.
Before moving on, Kishan, could you go back one slide?
Absolutely, John.
So just to summarize, our OYD is very much a technically oriented course. A lot of our topics are fairly in-depth technically. Now, having a look at this slide now, you'll see that a lot of the APD is focused on managing various areas of any commercial business or a packaging business. So our emphasis is on preparing students who are involved on the technical side. They've got the OYD. In this case, they are wanting to advance their careers and assume management positions in their own company or their existing company. So this is the whole emphasis, is on being able to manage these various areas. And as Kishan said, we bring in the experts from the local industry to assist in that regard. Thanks, Kishan.
Thanks, John. Thanks for that. So class sizes, unlike the OYD, which is 160 students, could be. I mean, this year we got, John, how many? 133, I think. Of course, physically attending each week is about, they could vary from 75 to 90, 100 students, because not all 130 that's registered are in the class at a time. But in this one, the APD, we do not entertain 130 students because it is really very personalized training. So we do between 15 and 40 students. Again, it's online via Zoom Mondays and Wednesdays. And the assessment protocol here is 3 research-based assignments and then 1 collective practical business proposal. So the 3 research-based assignments is stretching a student's imagination and understanding of packaging. So it's not a regurgitation of lecture notes. Again, if a student brings up the lecture notes, we tell the student, you're not going to pass this thing. We'll give you another chance to do it. But the practical, the practical section of this, in the OID, each student does it as an individual offering. Here, we put in 4 or 5 students as a group, and they must select a leader, and they must work out their group dynamics, and they must decide when they're meeting, and they must get together and understand the problem, the packaging problem, and solve it. And then bring to us a properly written out, literally a thesis that is required. It's literally a thesis with proper Harvard graphic style in-text citations, referencing, and everything. So basically, the student comes out of this as absolutely ready as management material in packaging. Cost of the course next year, just over 27,000 rands. I don't know why Laura just doesn't round these numbers up, but that's fine. And that includes PDF, IPSA textbook, Moodle access, and IPSA membership fee. Moving on to the Certified Packaging Professional. Again, if I click on the link, we'll take you there, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just mindful of timing now. This is a collaborative study, and it is as a result of an endeavor that is between the Institute of Packaging Professionals in the United States and WPO. So it was myself and a few others that at WPO executive that decided we will create this opportunity for leveling the global playing field. So in other words, John's got a packaging degree in South Africa, and Lance has got a packaging degree in the United States, and Kishan's got a packaging degree in in Vietnam. Now, who knows what about what? So in order to level the playing fields, we ask all 3 of these guys to write a common global exam, and that is the Certified Packaging Professional. So how it works is you register with us. We check that you are eligible for doing, again, we don't want to set you up to fail. We then link you up with IOPP USA. Then you get you get the textbook. You have to pay for the textbook. And you get a username and password. Once you master the textbook, you can get up on the website, write the online exam. It's 150 questions. 80% is a pass mark. That's 120 must be right. If you don't, you fail. You get another chance, but you have to pay again. But if you pass, then that's the first stage done. The second stage before you earn your CPP title is you need to do one of 3 things. You need to achieve, I think, 120 credits or points based on your activities in the industry in the last 6 years. So you would then, but I'm not going to go into the detail now, but basically you got to tell us, not we're going to tell us, but we're going to tell IOPP in the USA that Vanessa, yes, has been around for 6 years at the Institute of Packaging South Africa or in the industry in South Africa. And yes, she's done that. She's saying she's done that. We've vetted it. We've done it. So we basically corroborate all your endeavors. And we say, yes, you have 130 points. Then we give it to IOPP and they will double check it. But generally, once it comes to IPSA, it's fine. And then you can be qualified. The other way to do it, you'll do the exam, the 150 questions, but instead of doing a resume of activities, as I've just described, you could have written a textbook in packaging. You could have done a patent, packaging patent. All of these are acceptable. So there's many ways of killing the second stage of the cat here. The textbook that is used here is not our textbook. It's the Fundamentals of Packaging Technology, 6th edition, which we'll get for you. Right. And the other thing is, once you get packaging service CPP, there's I think the 7th one. I've just opened my email now, and there is a 7th student that has got it literally in the last hour, just before we started this thing. So there's only 7 in South Africa, and there's only 2,500 in the world. So we encourage this. It's highly sought after globally. You know what? When you got this qualification, 3 years it only lasts for 3 years. After 3 years, you have got to submit another 90 credit points to ensure what is known as continual professional development. So it's not that you got CPP, that's finished and clad. You got it for the next 10, 15 years. You have to do this thing 3 times. That means 3 years apart 3 times. And after that, you don't have to do it anymore. So I think it's after about 12 years or so. The text, so IPSA's Handbook of Packaging Technology is endorsed by the World Packaging Organization. What I forgot to mention right at the beginning is, before Lance was talking about CETA accreditation and QCTO, I should mention that WPO endorses all the programs that we teach. So in other words, anything that you do with us is endorsed by WPO, which means that the courses that IPSA offers are portable to 67 countries across the world. No questions asked. If Vanessa goes to Australia and says, I got the 1-year diploma or the advanced by IPSA, they don't question the integrity of the training. It's accepted at 67 countries. I think that talks a lot about the integrity of the training. The other thing is, I think Lance mentioned it earlier, that the training we offer is highly reputed. Let me tell you something. Globally, I can tell you that many students we have coming through that are bypassing many of their internal institutional training programs. They're coming to IPSA for the training. There's a strong interest and a global interest in sales of the text. It's rated now, our text, as one of the 4 best textbooks in packaging globally. It's available at 172 excluding VAT PDF version. So I'm going to conclude. I know we've got a few minutes for questions, but at least we do have some time. The purpose of all of this training is knowledge and attainment, career advancement. I was spoken about portability. I think very quickly, if I have to close it up, it's really empowering people and therefore empowering South Africa. So guys, I think that covers all of the things that we needed to. I know it's short and to the bullet point, but if there are any questions, Vanessa, we can take it now. I'm not sure if there's anything in the chat, but we open. Lance, myself, and John are open for any questions for a few minutes. Thank you.
I don't see anything typed into the chat, but please, if you've got a question, just raise your hand and we can unmute your microphone, and you're welcome to ask while we've got everyone here to answer. I did pop that into the chat section too. It's easy to remember. IPSA's website is ipsa.org.za. You'll see a menu tab, education, and as Kishan said, all the different brochures, all the different courses are listed under that menu tab. You can click in and click through to the brochures. You can click through and download a form that you can fill online for applications for any of the courses. And if you need to email us, it's simple again. It's education@ipsa.org.za, or you're welcome to email myself, vanessa@ipsa.org.za, and I can pass anything on for you. I see we've got one question come up here from Natalie Haramsa. When does the next APD intake start? Yes, that'll be in 2025, and the APD normally starts in mid-May. So yeah, applications will close early May, and the next one will be kicking off in 2025.
Vanessa, if I may just add, we've already got an intake is already started for 2025.
Okay, yeah.
But for both OID and APD, we get. This is why we have to price the courses as early as now, so that people know what it is. And there are other reasons, guys, that we thought it prudent to do this at this point of the year, is because now it becomes a budgeting thing, and most people are planning budgets for 2025. So get the training into the budget. And with Lance giving us CETA accreditation, you can claim all of this back in your skills development levy. Lance, am I right?
Yeah, sorry, no, absolutely correct. You know, and the same thing in submitting your workplace skills plan and etc. You once you submit, you get that back.
Kishan, there's another question here from Bernard. Are you looking to do commodity specific, for example, corrugated packaging?
You mean, yeah, I did say that we would bespoke training. So if there's a need for in-depth on corrugated, we've already done this a few times. So between John and I, so particularly on corrugated, we've done this training. We've taken it to particular sites for particular clients, and we could do that again. But by the way, we could tailor make it. In other words, if somebody wants a mix and match, and Lara will then give you all of the modules. Are there about 100 modules that you can, and they're all timed in terms of how long it takes to teach. So in other words, this module 2 hours, this module 2 hours. So you take 4 of those, you got a day.
Another question from Kyle.
Kyle,
what are the days and times of the OPT classes? John, you can maybe answer that one.
Kyle, we are meeting at the moment on Wednesday afternoons and Friday afternoons at between 3 and 5 o'clock. That's up to the class sometimes. So some people find that they cannot study at the same time as work, which is not unusual. But so the classes can be moved around. It depends on the votes in the particular class. It's also possible to run the OPT in company as well. If there are enough bums on seats, we can do that obviously online. And so that's also feasible. And then the company can pick and choose their day and their time for that presentation.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. There's questions on the Q&A, Vanessa. There's a question about whether the fees for the various programs are required once off, or it can be paid through installments. And the short answer is yes, we do offer some sort of payment plans. Lara will address that on an individual basis, but we do not have. It's not usually our protocol. Usually we invoice businesses, and then it's much easier that way. But where individuals are paying, we understand the need for extended payment. Kyle Lovell wants to know, is thermoform packaging included in your packaging types? John, please go ahead.
I assume this is at the OPT level. We do give a very brief overview of how plastics are converted. That would include thermoforming. We also deal with the injection, the blow molding, the ISBM, but just bear in mind, it's a short course and we can only deal with the specifics in terms of how the process works, overview, as well as applications. So it's not an in-depth one on thermoforming at all. It's a part of the milieu of discussing plastics and how they're processed.
Yeah, but John, I think you assumed that he was wanting to know whether it's an OPT. But in OYD, that is covered intensively. So all manufacturing process, whether it is extruded blow molding or blown film, all of these things are taught in extensive detail. And then, of course, again, it's covered in APD in even more extensive detail. So in the APD, we would go into literal temperatures for heat control in glass manufacture, for instance, which we may not cover in OYD. So there is a very intelligent, progressive move from OPT to OYD to APD. Bernard, based on specific training you mentioned, what certificates or merits does it carry, John?
I'm assuming this is OPT.
No, Bernard, I'm assuming that this is based on specific training. That was his bespoke or training that we would do for particular industries. Yes, we would we would generate an IPSA training certificate, and it will indicate the hours of contact time, the content that is covered. And if we do a physical or an assessment, we will then cover the marks that has been attained. But if it's a one-day training, it's really attendance-based. We only start doing assessments when it's 4 or 5 days. Will you be sending us a slideshow? Yes. Everything is on the website. Yes, Andrea. Livu, NQF. Oh, Livu's got a very good question. And I know Livu, and I know Livu as well. Livu, I hope you're doing well. Good. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to, Lance, are you seeing this question?
Yes, I see the question.
And the one about the NQF levels.
Yeah, the NQF levels, and considering they're now accredited. Well, first of all, they are in the process of being accredited. So they're not accredited yet. We are busy aligning the NQF level to the courses. So in other words, we're looking at probably somewhere around a 5 or a 6. Once it gets to about 7, then we're looking at higher education. So I think we're probably looking at about 5 and 6 NQF. And once it's aligned, then you'll have more details about that. I think that hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, Livu, if you need anything more, please, you can contact me. Incidentally, for the audience, Livu, who is here asking questions, I think it was last week, Livu, we did a training. I won't mention the company and things, but here's an exact case in point where we took the training to a company. Personalized training, exactly what they want. Yeah, last week she says, yeah. Anything else, Vanessa?
Great. I think that, yeah, no more questions that I see online. Yeah, we a couple of minutes over. So yeah, no hands up, then perhaps we should close off at this point. Thank you so much, Kishan and Lance.
John,
just a couple of points, Vanessa. Before we finish, the next OYD offering is starting in February. The OPT is starting in September. The APD is starting in May of next year. And then secondly, you are faced with the career decisions regarding which course to take. Kishan and myself are available for discussion. If you'd like to call us, WhatsApp or email, quite happy to do that. Understanding that you may be at the beginning of a career which may or may not include packaging, and you wanting to get stuck in, find out what it's like, and we're both very willing to assist you with these very important decisions regarding your future. We know we've got a great product, and we've hoped that you've enjoyed getting a little bit unpacked, and maybe it's tickled your interest. We hope so, and that possibly we are seeing you in one of our courses. Thanks.
Yeah, John, yeah, there's one more thing. John mentioned the start dates of the courses, but didn't mention the CPP. There's no start date for CPP. CPP is individual. Anytime anybody feels that they want to tackle it, get in touch with Vanessa, get in touch with myself, or if you know Lara, and we will then, remember, we don't have to form a class to do CPP. It's individual based. So you can do it right now. Not a problem. What else I was going to say before oh yeah, this here. I'm not sure how many, there's 40 people here now. There's two things. John is talking to you as though you are candidates for the training, but I thought that the target audience for today was decision makers who will and in industry. So I'm hoping there's a bit of both here. But yeah, I think it's been good. Thank you for the time. And Vanessa, you can then close.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for those points. Thanks, everyone.